Hey everyone, Happy New Year. My name is Andrea. I'm with Blackthorn Support, and today we're going to go through our Blackthorn Payments January 2021 release. This is version 5.14, available on the App Exchange. First, we'll kind of look at our agenda. So this is a smaller release this month. The first thing we'll look at is a value add that we've been working on for our Stripe billing customers. So we've created an unmanaged package containing a screen flow, which is also a template, which will make it even easier to create a subscription from an opportunity in Salesforce. So we'll demo that and talk about some of the settings available. And then we have a few bug fixes that we want to highlight for this January release. Some related to the virtual terminal. We have a fix for payment schedules, and we've also restored some permissions in our Blackthorn Payments admin permission set. Okay, so I want to show you our the Stripe billing flow in action. So this is an unmanaged package that our support team has created as a value add for some of our Stripe billing customers who use opportunities. And so this just gives you a really easy way from an opportunity to create and push a subscription to Stripe. So for those who use Stripe billing, there are quite a few records that have to be in place in order to successfully push a subscription to Stripe. You have to have a Stripe customer, or what we call a payment gateway customer. You have to have prices related to the products on your opportunity. If you have coupons, you want to make sure that those are selected. So there are quite a number of things that have to be in place ahead of being able to just go ahead and push the subscription into Stripe and make it active. So we have some fields on the opportunity to make that easy. But what we've done is we've created a screen flow that makes it even easier and kind of puts all of those steps into one interface so that you don't have to leave the opportunity screen in order to make sure you've got all those records in place. There's also a lot of conditional filtering happening so that we are only allowing users to select prices that are applicable to certain products, or making sure that all of the prices that are chosen have the same billing frequency. So just makes the process a little easier. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. I have two products on this opportunity, so that's really the only prerequisite to using the flow. You have to have Salesforce products that have been pushed to Stripe on the opportunity. And then once you're ready, you can, I have actually put this screen flow just on the Lightning page for the opportunity. In the unmanaged package, there's also a button that you can launch this screen flow from that can be added to the actions on the page. But I'll go ahead and use the component that we've embedded on this opportunity Lightning page. So if I click next, my first step is to choose a billing frequency and the currency. So I am going to say that this test subscription will be monthly, so I'll choose monthly. Then I have a field that appears called interval count, and so this just sets the number of months, in this case, between billing. So because I want this to bill every month, I'm going to leave the interval count to 1. If I wanted this to bill quarterly, for example, I could change this to 3 so that it bills every 3 months. And then the currency, in this case, defaulted to US dollars, just because that's what currency my payment gateway uses, my payment gateway record, my Stripe account. So I'll leave it at US dollars. And then the next step is to select a Stripe customer. So in Salesforce, we call these payment gateway customers because we support multiple gateways. But for this purpose in Stripe billing, it's a Stripe customer. And so just as you see in this list, if a customer record already exists that's tied to the same account as the opportunity, it'll show up in this list. If not, you have an option to create a new payment gateway customer. And if you need to go this route, then you also can select from an existing contact related to the opportunity to use kind of as a template to pull in address details, email address, that sort of thing. Just kind of makes it easier for your users so they're not filling out a blank payment gateway customer form. Of course, if you don't have a contact for whatever reason, you can start from scratch by choosing the none option. So I'll just use the existing customer that we have here, and then go to the next screen. So this next step is the option to set some date fields for the subscription. So all of these fields are optional, but there are different combinations of the ways that you can use these fields if you're trying to get different scenarios in your subscription. So these are all optional. I'll just kind of briefly explain what each of them means. So you can set a subscription start date in the past. We call this the backdate start date. And we will set one for this test subscription. Let's say, so today is January the 13th. Let's say that our customer has had access to our services since January the 1st. Go ahead and set January the 1st as the backdate start date. Optionally, you can add in a free trial period. If you want to do that, you toggle this to yes and then set your trial end date. You can also set a billing cycle anchor in the future. This is something that you can't do in the Stripe dashboard, but you can do in our app through the API. So if you wanted to, let's say you normalize your billing dates. You always want customers to be billed on the 1st of the month or the 15th or the last day of the month. However that process works for you, you do have an option to set a billing cycle anchor. I'm going to keep it simple, and we're just going to set a backdate start date for January 1st. And then optionally, you have the ability to prorate or not prorate the subscription. So in this case, I do want to prorate because I want to capture billing back to January 1st since the customers had access to the service since then. So I'll leave that flag to yes. Next step is you can select or create a coupon. So if you have existing active coupons in the org that are active in Stripe, they'll show up in this list here. And then you can also add a new coupon directly inside this flow if you don't have one listed that you need. I'm just going to select the 15% off coupon. And then next you choose a billing method. So you can select to charge automatically, but only if you have a payment method on file. So maybe it's a renewal or a customer who has other services already that you have a payment method in Stripe already on file. But because I don't have that with this test customer, I'm going to choose send invoice. And then days until due defaults to 30. This is a setting that you can change in the custom setting that's part of the unmanaged package. I'm going to leave it at 30, but if you need to default it to others. So these are like net payment terms. So when the invoice is generated, it is due 30 days after that, the date that it's created. So go ahead and click next. And so, okay. So this next step is going to iterate through all of the products on your opportunity, and you can select a price record. So in Stripe, the price record is actually determining the dollar amount that gets billed every billing period, and also the frequency of that billing. So these prices that show up on this screen are only going to be prices that, one, you can use with this product, and two, that have the same billing frequency as you chose on the first screen. So this really, if you have a lot of prices, which you can, because you can have multiple prices assigned to a single product, this really helps filter down that list and makes it a lot easier for your users to choose relevant products. So in this case, I already have a price for this particular gold monthly membership product. So I'll go ahead and choose that. And it just pulled the quantity from my opportunity product. And then it goes on to the next product. So this is the Platinum add-on. For this one, I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like to create a new price inside the flow. You do optionally have this ability to skip a product if for whatever reason you have products that you don't want on the Stripe subscription. You can skip over any products through this flow. So when I click next to create a new price, you really have capital P. So I'll just use a lowercase p. And let's say I'm just going to do like create a $90 price. This, you can name this price anything you want, just something that's descriptive for your org, or for your own business. And then you can decide if it's going to be a recurring price or a one-time price. This is a monthly subscription that I want to bill every month, so I'll choose recurring, and it sets these automatically. Okay. And so I only had 2 products on this opportunity. So now this last screen is kind of a summary screen. It shows me the customer record that's going to be tied to the subscription, shows me the coupon I chose, the start date, which is in the past, the first full invoice date, which is going to be today, since we didn't set a trial end date or a billing cycle anchor, billing frequency, and then the total that's going to bill each month. And then you don't have to use this right away. If you click next, it'll still create the subscription record in Salesforce. It just won't push it to Stripe immediately. But if you do check this box, it'll create the record and push it to Stripe. So go ahead and click next here. And then your last step is optionally you can view the subscription that you just created. Okay. So then we can see that there is a subscription, excuse me, a subscription ID, which is a sign that it was successfully pushed to Stripe. We also have this Stripe URL field that's on the subscription layout. Okay, so here's a subscription that we just created with all the details. So we can see our products and plans, our prices, and all the details, and we can see that it has created our start date of January 1st. So one other thing I wanted to show you quickly about our Stripe billing flow is the custom setting that we've created. So with that flow, it is a template, so you can clone it, you can change it if you have admin resources or developer resources that are familiar with flow. So it can be changed, but we've also made it easy to control some of the settings for that flow without having to actually change the flow itself. So we have this in our documentation on the Stripe billing flow, which will be linked in the release note. But if I go to custom settings and setup, we'll see the Stripe billing screen flow custom setting, and then so here are the options that you have that you can configure. So you can set a default payment gateway. So if you only use one Stripe account with your Stripe billing configuration, you can just set a default, that's the record ID from Salesforce, to bypass an initial screen that we didn't see when I took you through the demo because we're just defaulting to this payment gateway. You can also, if you for whatever reason don't use coupons, you can disable and hide that option. If you don't want users creating prices in the flow, maybe that's a more controlled process, you can disable price creation so that they can only add new select existing prices and not add new prices. You can, if you don't use the billing cycle anchor or trial end date, you can, and the same with the subscription backdate field, you can disable those if you don't want to give users options to set those dates. If you don't want to give them the option to automatically push it to Stripe within the flow, you can disable that. If you don't want payment gateway customers to get created within the flow, maybe that's a more controlled process, or you do that ahead of time, you can disable that option, as well as disabling coupon creation. So, and then also days until due. So that's when you select send invoice for the billing method. If you have different net payment terms, maybe you set them up to be due net 15, you can change what value kind of defaults in that field in the flow. And then also the initial screen that loads, if you wanted to modify the text, you have an option to do that from this custom setting as well. Okay, so the first set of fixes that I wanted to take you through are related to the virtual terminal. So in January, we fixed a few bugs related to the virtual terminal, and I want to talk about what those bugs were and then how we fixed them. So the first one that we will go through is related to this payment method option, or the payment method field on the new single charge screen. So we have two ways that you can add a payment method in the terminal. Excuse me. You can either change the action to new payment method, or you can go directly to this payment method field on the new single charge action and add one here. So the bug that I'm describing in this case, in prior versions, if you click this add new option, then this field, this form was not loading at all. So you would be presented with kind of a blank white screen. And so we fixed this in the January release so that these fields load properly. To kind of piggyback off of this and segue into our next fix, we also had a bug where if you were to add a new payment method from this from in the virtual terminal, that when you were directed back to the new single transaction screen, that payment method wasn't automatically populated in the payment method field. You would have to click the field and from the drop down choose the payment method. So it's just one other click, but still in most cases, if you're adding a payment method in the virtual terminal, you are going to want to subsequently charge that payment method you just created. So it's just a better user experience. So we fixed that just to show you what that looks like. I'll go ahead and just add a new test payment method. And then when this gets added and we get directed back to the new single charge screen, you'll see that the payment method we just added has auto-populated in this field. So that is the second item that we've addressed in the virtual terminal. We also had two other fixes that we included. Both of them are around error handling. So in cases where you were adding a payment method that failed to tokenize, it wasn't valid, it was returned from the payment gateway with an error. We didn't have error messages that were very user-friendly. So if I, just as an example to show you what that looks like now, if I add a new payment method that I know is going to be a bad card, you'll see that this field turns red. So that I believe was existing functionality, but you can still go through and try and add this new payment method. But in the past, you would either see kind of a larger error with some not so user-friendly text, or an error would show up at the bottom of this component that also didn't give you a lot of context as to what were wrong or how something was going wrong. So now we have this modal, the small modal that pops up to let you know there's a problem. The user would be directed to see that this, in this case, I know this is not a good card, so it got flagged by Stripe, but this would at least give you, it's a little better experience when you're adding a card that does not tokenize properly. So we've improved error handling. And this was for all gateways and Spreely as well. We had to, if you're using our Spreely gateways, we've included a fix for invalid payment methods as well. The last fix I wanted to go over for January is related to our payment schedules feature. So in the prior version, we had an issue that didn't seemingly affect functionality of payment schedules, but when you generated the transactions related to payment schedules, it was generating a Blackthorn log with a null pointer exception. Again, it didn't seem to actually affect the way that the payment schedules worked, but it was creating a log. So we addressed the issue in our code to fix that. So what I have on my screen now is a draft payment schedule. It's just set up as a monthly schedule. It's going to generate 6 transactions that start today, and each of them are going to be $100. So if I go ahead and generate the transactions for this schedule, You can see I've got transactions that were created. And then I go to our Blackthorn logs, view all of them. Okay, and we have no Blackthorn logs created today related to the payment schedule. Another fix that we've added in the January release for payments is just the addition of view all and modify all. We've added those permissions back to our objects for the Blackthorn Payments admin permission set. So we had previously had those permissions included. However, before winter 21, we removed them from our permission set so that users could use sharing rules on our objects to manage record level access. However, with the admin permission set, we thought it was best to add those back in just in case you were using some sort of custom profiles that didn't have modify all data. So now that the admin permission set has view all and modify all once again, so that the users assigned to those permission sets have full record visibility on all of our packaged objects. Thank you for joining us today for our January 2021 release webinar for payments. If you have any questions or concern, as always, please reach out to us via our community at community.blackthorn.io.